the strike, it's good! And it needs tipping over by the goalkeeper. That's a little loose from Fabinho. And it's going to come for Bamford. It's a big save by Alisson, and Liverpool survive. That's Diogo Jota. It's a lovely ball towards Alexander-Arnold. And Sadio Mane's there. And Liverpool score. It's a ball for James Milner. Gets the cross and Mane gets there. Roberts, lovely feet. And on for Harrison, who gets all the way in on goal. That's a brilliant save. That's for Bamford. That's a glorious first take. You can't quite turn the ball home. Poor Vydra. Ball was brilliant.
Boom. Nog net aan. Kijk, daar kan vervolgens niks met die bal. Burnley gaat zich nu toch... Henderson, Elliott. Goed gegeven. Salah, wat een mooie goal. En wat een hele belangrijke rol hier voor die jonge Elliott. Die om zich heen keek, inschatte waar Salah was. Maar nog knapper dat in alle rust ook uiteindelijk kon uitvoeren. En die bal daar weg kon steken. En dan is Salah natuurlijk de kunstenaar die die bal wel met een... Het diep werkt weg. En nu moet Ellis. Alexander-Arnold. Zo in de loop. Ja, dat was mooi geweest. Maar nee, dit was een mooie uitvoering hoor. Het is zo'n balletje wat je moet durven geven. Dat de groei er weer is. Jota. Aantal doelpunten. Brownhill. Sané. En daar Pope krijgt die bal wel weg. Maar die druk van Elliott ervaarde hij niet als heel op de tribune. Pope. Met één vuist nog. En daar van heel ver. Ik verwacht niet anders. Wedstrijd op Anfield. 35% is niet... Alexander-Arnold. Nou, Salah met heel veel gevoel zit in de hoofd. Dus dat zijn letters die het goed doen. En voor de rest ontbreekt het score. Nee. Nou, hier een hele harde voor. Oeh, Alisson, wat doe je daar nu? Het leek een makkelijk vangballetje te zijn. Daar ging Tarkowski met hem de lucht in. Natuurlijk 2 wedstrijden, 0 punten. Ze zijn het gewend bij de Carabao. Ja, nu wordt het allemaal wat ingewikkeld en lijken alle automatismen weg. Maar die lijken weg, maar die zijn niet weg. Hier is Bar. McNeil. En daar, zijn vader is overleden. Elliott kiest daar diepte zonder bal. Doet hij dat op het juiste koord vorige week tegen Norwich. Dat geldt voor Salah ook en Jota. Taylor brengt weer terug. Dan is Liverpool toch weer in de problemen. Totdat naar Henderson. Kijkt naar het bewegende spel om hun heen. Ik breed kon geven. Hier is Jota. Misschien zijn laatste actie is in de richting van Mane. Daar. Nee, dat is te hard voor Mo Salah. Zo. Maar Typ, ze zijn daar in dat strafschopgebied. Daar is Van Dijk. En daar gaat hij maar net. En de goal. Goeie bal zeg. Op Loten. Van Elliott. Hier is Salah. En McNeil met de sliding. Dat was tegen Duitsland. Toen het alleen maar over Robin Goossens ging. Van Jota. Nou maar nee. Hier komt je kans. En Pope niet volgens het Alexander-Arnold. Druk van Liverpool wordt nu toch wel wat groter richting goed. Kracht niet. Daar heeft Klopp echt geen zorgen over. Hier de andere back. Elliott hoeft daarbij.
And Devon get a first start for him on his return to Leeds. He starts in goal. It's a back four. Then have Gaetano Berardi back fit again. Luke Ayling, Connor Shaughnessy, Cameron Borthwick Jackson. In midfield, Mateus Klick will partner Ronaldo Vieira in that central position. Kamar Roof, Stuart Dallas and Pavel Chabisky will be behind J. Roy Grott as the main striker. How those three will line up, though, behind him, we'll find out in just a few minutes' time. On the bench for Leeds, Felix Wiedveld, Pierre-Michel Lasogga, Ezcan Alioski, Pablo Hernandez, Calvin Phillips, Hadi Sacco and Matej Gomez. For Sean Dyche and his Burnley side have made a solid start to the Premier League season, particularly away from home, and they do utilise their squad. 7 changes to their team. Nick Pope, though, does continue in goal. It's a defence of Charlie Taylor, Ashley Westwood, James Tarkowski, their captain, and Phil Bardsley, Kevin Long, Jeff Hendrick, Scott Arfield, and Johan Berg Goodmanson in midfield. Sam Vokes, once of Leeds United, and Ashley Barnes, once a transfer target of Leeds United, up front. On the bench, Adam Lesdans, Ben Mee, Matt Loughton, Stephen Defoe, Jack Cork, Robbie Brady, and of course, Chris Woods. Tarkowski, their captain, sends a long one up towards Vokes. Nodded down well to Anderson Arfield. Shooting range, does go for goal. Pushed away by Andy Lonergan. It's a smart save, and it's a good effort. The Scott Arfield can't score the spectacular. It was a decent strike, but a good save too. Hendrick. Ireland international to Bardsley. Bardsley comes inside to get the goal again. Puts the ball into the feet there of Barnes. Barnes to Arfield. Arfield, it's fouled. Good pass to Vokes on a tight angle. Cut the ball back across and goes wide. Burnley again creating a chance there. And Scott Arfield, the man who was really instrumental in that move, almost finished it off. The Burnley will feel that's another chance wasted.
Yeah, I think it is. Again, great play by their 2 centre forward, constantly hassling everybody. Good little hold-up play and a great little ball, maybe just offside as well. But you know the linesman hasn't given it. And again, decent defending by Berardi. He has put him off without a shadow of a doubt there. But you'd expect them to, you know, they pile on the pressure. But that comes from, again, it's coming from we like to play the ball from the back. It's coming from that point where they are not allowing us to do that. So really, you know, we need to be doing that a lot more. We've got quality. Let's use it. You know, the lads are proving that at the minute.
The throw from both with Jackson to Trubisky. It was a decent strike from him. Was charged down by Tarkowski. Gives Leeds their second corner kick of the game. And that was positive play. And a slack from Burnley, you know, from a throw-in. Trubisky there was allowed to turn and get a strike away. It looked like a venomous hit.
Yeah, we found a little bit of a space now between their back four and our midfield again. But it comes down to that quality of the pass, quality of the throw, then into them, creating a little bit of space. And you know, the boys have got to have a bit of confidence. You know, we're top of the league in the Championship. We should have confidence. We should be playing with confidence. Play one-touch football.
Trubisky here with the corner kick then from this left side. It's rolled in short to Vieira, gives it back to Trubisky. Then to the edge of the penalty area for Dallas. Right-footed, he goes for goal. It's on target. It's very comfortable for Pope, the goalkeeper. Straight into his hands. And I don't know if that was a rehearsed routine. It ended up presenting an opportunity for Dallas, but still a difficult one for him to take. Pope, that's it short to Tarkowski. That's got good distribution at the back. Captain for the Clarets tonight. Here's Westwood in the centre circle. Right-footed, he sends a pass forward for Barnes. He never got it under control. I think the stride of run off. Lonergan plays it away. 2 Leeds players jumping for it, but neither will get anywhere near it. The area then wins it back for Leeds. Clip into Roof. Roof here. Burst of pace here, and the pitch is opened up for him. Dallas making the run ahead of him on the left. Can he feed him in? Chance might have gone. Eventually he does get into it. Right in the corner. Stuart Dallas is cross. Deflects away. He appeals for a handball, right?
Just going in there, I think. And that's a big accumulation of fouls as well. He's had a few in the boys now.
Yes. Over. Hands the yellow card out to Kamaru. That was a good turn from him in the middle of the park. I think Leeds have done better in this second half, Andy, just in terms of trying to disrupt the Burnley rhythm. You know?
Yeah, we're trying to get on the ball. We're trying to, you know, I quite like Root to be in that little bit behind the front man.
Leeds, click here, and mock things up, heading back towards his inches away.
Yeah, again, a decent break from Burnley. Again, we all think Barsi's got some money on himself tonight. He's had a few chances, but that was his best chance there, and a great strike across. To be fair, Lonigan's done decent there. He's got his angles right. He's let it go. He can quite easily put a hand onto that, which will put it into the danger area. So, you know, fair play to Lonigan. He's got his angles all right.
Football there. It's Long. He's found the pass out to the right side. It's a good pass as well to Goodmanson.
Comes on, he's only been on for 20 seconds and he's got the ball, a little bit of quality again in the middle of the park. Found the pass. Charlie Taylor's well up the pitch. Great ball in from Hernandez there. And Sacco, to be fair, you're all sat there thinking, just hit the target, you know, and lo and behold, he's going through the legs of the keeper. Great finish. And to be fair, you know, he's deserved it, Sacco. He's done well when he's come on. And great finish by the boy, but great ball from Hernandez.
Wonderful ball from Hernandez. Sacco in all the space, fires it low, hits the target, hits the back of the net. And Leeds United are in front here at Premier League. Burnley with 10 minutes of the match to go. But could capitalise on that. Two arms in the air from Brady. That's going to be clipped in quite centrally. It's towards the back post. It's headed across by Tarkovskis. Few bodies jumping for it. And the back post. Good save, Lonigan. Great save, Lonigan. Closing in. There on Goodmanson.
Козырь, разыграют ли они его верно? Вот на что ответ мы узнаем в ближайшее время.
Да, часто бывает, что команда начинает активно прессинговать соперника и поднимает защиту чуть ли не к середине поля. Но если соперник опытный, он сможет выйти из такой ситуации и взять свою выгоду. Свободные зоны никто не отменял для длинных передач.
Мы видим состав команды гостей. Нас ждет яркая игра. Тренер выбрал атакующую тактику на этот матч.
Да, и судя по расстановке команд...
Каждый год Лига Чемпионов возвращается и начинается песен как козырь. Разыграют ли они его верно? Вот на что ответ мы узнаем в ближайшее время.
Да, часто бывает, что команда начинает активно прессинговать соперника и поднимает защиту чуть ли не к середине поля. Но если соперник
Satisfy your cravings. Order all your favorite meals from the Jumia Food.
Свободные зоны никто не отменял для длинных передач.
Мы видим состав команды гостей. Нас ждет яркая игра. Тренер выбрал атакующую тактику.
This place simply a monument to the game. So much prestige, so much pride, so much passion whenever football is played here. We're on the way. Lowton. And it's Barnes. Goodmanson with a delicate ball. Dallas. Dashing forward at pace. Klich. And it's played forward. Just brushed off the ball there. Ayling. Cooper. Phillips. He acknowledges that he should have come up with something better there.
Peter, his body shape was a giveaway before he made the pass, and its obviousness was appreciated.
Cork. Wood. Wood! Oh, fine stop from the keeper.
Wood is very sporting here to acknowledge the quality of
weekend.
Yeah, we think we've got better news with Westy and Vids. So they've been on the grass today. Obviously, we'll see how they react tomorrow before making the decision on them. But it looks like better news. Nothing serious to report from the other night. So hopefully 2 bodies back in the thinking.
Plenty to build on in a way, because there seemed to be an awful lot to be satisfied about the Anfield performance. And then, of course, in midweek, you've had a cup win. How's that helped the mood this week?
I certainly thought the Anfield performance was a better performance, but we had changed the team quite a bit, and players who don't always play together, so you expect a little bit of that to happen. But I thought the performance at Anfield was very good against a top side. It doesn't really, the group's been pretty strong in its thinking here. We try and keep the ups and downs and the ins and outs of what we do pretty steady. tough couple of first games. More the Brighton game, we 7 or 8, 10 minutes, whatever it was, we kind of let the game change. At Liverpool, it wasn't so much that. They're a good outfit, and they just won through in the end. Newcastle, we had to dig, we had to fight, see the game through, and then won it on penalties. So a bit of a mixed bag, but the feeling's always decent in the camp. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm more thinking about how we can perform to beat a good Leeds side.
Psychologically, just how important is it to get that first Premier League win on the board?
Yeah, it's the same old, same old. Everyone wants to get their win on the board. It's for every team, no matter top, middle, bottom, whatever way you look at it. We've had spells, including last year, when that hasn't happened. It's more about keeping your belief in the performance levels. I think we've actually performed reasonably well so far and in pre-season. Of course, there's no naivety to my word. You've got to turn that into results. Every manager, top, middle or bottom equally, would take a stuffy one or a lucky one. But ideally, you want to win by design, and that's what we're looking to do. We want to win with good performances. And I think we'll need one on Sunday because Leeds are a good outfit.
It took a long time last season, I remember, something like November 23rd, 8 games in. Does that in a way help the players because there was no panic then and there's clearly no panic at the moment?
Yeah, we've had a couple of seasons like that, where it's been tough at the beginning. It can happen, especially when you seem like ours. It's unlikely it does happen. It's unlikely for the superpowers, but it does happen now and again. We all know that. But generally, there's a mishmash of teams that all have to fight to get them early points on the board and keep your resolve if you don't. And I think we've shown we can do that. I've always said it's a season's work. The players know that. My belief in performances has always been there. And as I said, I think we've had a productive pre-season. Performance-wise, not far off at all. Both ends of the pitch, got to be sharper. We know that. And they're often the margins that turn games, in both boxes. And they're the details we've got to continually look to put in place.
How do you assess this Leeds squad at the moment?
Well, they proved last season they're a good outfit, that's for sure. Always got energy to press the game and run for the game and work in open spaces on turnover, transition, all the right things. Against that, they have their, ways of playing that sometimes goes against them. Excuse me. Where they do play very open and teams who are the power like Man U, proved that. They're a tough outfit. I think they've done very, very well last season. They've shown again this season they're certainly up for it. But, we've become accustomed to every challenge there is in the Premier League. Whether they go for you or against you, we do understand the challenge. Our players understand the challenge, and that's an important factor. The experience we've got, varying styles. Leeds are different, to be fair. So I think we can understand them. It's more about our performance, which it always comes down to. I speak about it a lot because if you get that right over a season, particularly, it gets you where you want to be. But equally, we've got to get it right, with the immediacy of playing a good Leeds side, as I said.
I talked to Johan earlier today, and he was talking about the game at Liverpool and how special it was.
That must have been exciting for you.
How special it was to have that crowd in, even as an away player. Obviously, this Sunday, you're at home. Just how important now is the crowd for you on having a full house?
They've always been important to us here, and they've always stood by us through the ups and downs, the ins and outs of the club. I think they'll continue to do that. They know the challenges each season. They know that we are working hard to try and recruit to support the side that we've got. I think they're happy to get back in the stadium, that's for sure. The feeling of Turf Moor when the stadium has got people in it always changes dramatically, as of all stadiums, but I think certainly this one. It's another home game. It's another chance to perform in front of our fans with their backing, I'm sure.
Scores! Second goal for Manchester United. Lingard in the box, and it's in! It's the dream debut!
We've got Harry Kane, and this time, Harry Kane makes no mistake.
Premier League Live with Talk Sport.
You are listening to Talk Sport's coverage of Tottenham Hotspur against Watford from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm your host, Alex Crook. Alongside me is the former Tottenham defender, Chris Perry. This is Premier League Live. And it's been a whirlwind 48 hours in the Premier League with stunning goals, controversial refereeing decisions, 1 or 2 surprise scorelines on Saturday, and the return of a certain Cristiano Ronaldo. So what does Super Sunday have in store? Ronaldo's new old club, Manchester United, take on Wolves at 4:30. Burnley against Leeds is a 2 o'clock kickoff. Will have goals as they go in at Turf Moor. But our main focus this lunchtime is Tottenham against Watford. as the last 100% record in the division is very much on the line. Tottenham, bolstered by Harry Kane, announcing this week that he will be staying at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. No surprise then that the England captain makes his first Premier League start of the campaign, replacing Lucas Moura in the only alteration made by Nuno Espirito Santo from Tottenham's last Premier League lineup. Hugo Lloris is the goalkeeper. Tanganga, Sanchez, Dyer and Reguilon in the back four. Højbjerg, Skip and Dele Alli make up midfield, with Son and Bergwijn alongside Kane up front. 4 changes for Watford, including an immediate debut against his former employers, Moussa Sissoko in midfield. Francisco Sierralta also comes in, along with the fit-again Juraj Kucka and Josh King, who makes his first Premier League start for the Hornets. Backman in goal, Cathcart, Trusticon, Sierralta and Messina in defence. Thibaut will hold in midfield. Sarr, Sissoko, Kucka and Dennis in behind Josh King up front. The 2 benches for you for Tottenham. Gellini is the backup goalkeeper. Doherty, Romero, Winks, Hill, Lo Celso, Sessegnon, Lucas Moura and Ben Davis. Watford have Robert Elliott as their backup keeper, and Ngakia, Danny Rose, another Tottenham old boy in the Hornets ranks. Louza, Cleverley, Seema, Fletcher, Cabaselli and Hernandez complete the Watford squad. Chris Perry has been dissecting those lineups. No real shock that Harry Kane starts this afternoon, Chris, and he'll probably get himself on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, not got the great one in the summer. The fact that they've kept 2 clean sheets, I think, has maybe kept them in the back four, but certainly it's an area where they obviously brought in Christian Romero from Atalanta, where they were looking to strengthen. I think it's only because they've kept 2 clean sheets that those 2 have kept their place.
You mentioned they are yet to concede a goal in the Premier League this season. They've ridden their luck, though, haven't they? Both against Wolves and obviously against Manchester City when they gave chances away. So in some ways, does the fact that they're sitting pretty on maximum points without conceding a goal flatter Nuno's team?
I think it does. I think certainly against Manchester City, you're always going to concede chances. They're a good team, aren't they? And that's to be expected. But again, against Wolves, as you said, they rode their luck. You know, they've got away with giving some chances away. Teams have missed it. They've got 2 clean sheets. But whether that's a case to keep the same back four or whether you bring in Christian Romero, I would personally play Romero myself. I think the one question mark really is that Spurs have won both games, but have had the second lowest possession of any teams in the Premier League this season. And Watford are going to come here, and you wouldn't have thought they're going to play all-out attack. And certainly Spurs, under Nuno, like to allow teams onto them and hit them on the counter.
And in terms of the Watford lineup, Kucka, I think, coming back into midfield is a big boost, although Tom Cleverley, who has been captaining the side in the absence of Troy Deeney, is sacrificed as a result of that. Josh King leading the line up front, and a strange feeling probably for Moussa Sissoko walking back into the changing room here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium so soon after leaving the club.
Yeah, that must be a difficult one, mustn't it? So obviously leaving the club on Thursday and coming straight back and playing here on Sunday. Lots of familiar faces obviously in the opposite dressing room and around the stadium, but he's been one of Spurs' most consistent players, certainly over the last couple of seasons, and I think he'll be a really good acquisition for Watford. I think he'll give them that Premier League experience and that dynamism in midfield.
Someone who certainly offers dynamism is Ismaila Sarr. Very impressive on the opening weekend against Aston Villa. I was at Brighton last week actually, and they did quite a good job keeping him quiet, but he does have that X factor, doesn't he?
He does, yeah, absolutely, and it's going to be interesting down that side of the pitch playing up against Reguilon, because Reguilon loves to get forward. And how far will he be able to go if they've got Ismaila Sarr the other side of him waiting to take advantage of the spaces he leaves?
So that's the team news then from North London. Tottenham against Watford, the players out on the pitch warming up in preparation for this game. We'll get the sides from Turf Moor there shortly. They kick off at the same time. Burnley in desperate need of a victory up against Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds. We'll also be hearing from the 2 managers at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Nuno Espirito Santo and Isco Munoz, and looking back on the best of Saturday's action. Stay with us. This is Premier League Live.
It's the ultimate fusion of football and celebrity. The Best 11 podcast from TalkSport. Johnny Owen and Mark Webster interview the biggest names in popular culture, looking back at the role the beautiful game has played in their lives.
Paul Weller. Could I just start off apologising for last weekend?
Actor Stephen Graham.
Good morning, Stevie.
Morning. Sharing their earliest football memories, how they celebrated their team's successes, culminating in their all-time best 11.
Noel Gallagher.
Let's deal with the hangover and let's have it again after that.
The Best 11 podcast. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Tom Rennie. Join me for a weekly podcast, Week in the Tackle, available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm going to be joined by Brian Dunseth, MLS legend, to tackle the biggest stories from the week in soccer.
And the great thing about working with Tom and making Week in the Tackle is we're only going to be covering things we think are worth tackling.
This show is all about passion. What's going to get us riled up? What's going to get you riled up to give us all something to chew on?
We're not here to sit on the fence and tell you the stories of the day. That's what your phone's for. You'll be scrolling through Twitter while listening anyways.
Exactly. I'm scrolling through Twitter right now. I'll save you the trouble. It is all bad news. This show is about tackling all the news of the week, giving our take on why it's interesting and why we think you should know it.
Who should be sacked? Who should be bought? Who should be sold? Who was right? Who was wrong?
Strong opinion, big stories, no agenda.
Week in the Tackle is available on Mondays from wherever you get your podcasts. If it's a big story in soccer, we'll tackle it.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the TalkSport Hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
It's an improvement week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the TalkSport Hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Women's Football Weekly Podcast.